Hello everyone. Today is day probably 3, 4. It's day 3, but I plan to do another video today as well to kind of start to catch us up. So this request was opening to new relationships. So if we're not opening to new relationships, we've kind of armored our heart. It's a way we've learned to protect ourselves. And that's an important thing to do. It's an important way to honor ourselves, to honor that, we need the space, we need the time. And that can be years. It can be months. It can be many things. And hang on. You got to go roll with me on this so I can open this and let a cat out. Otherwise, she'll just be clawing at the screen for a while. So it's when we can meet ourselves where we're at. And so the beauty is, this is the way to think about it. If you think about, if you're not in a relationship, and this doesn't have to be a romantic relationship again. It can be reopening a friendship that maybe went south, reopening sort of any relationship with someone. We might, be wounded by parents, siblings, you name it, bosses. But if you think about opening up, we're protecting our heart. That's why we stay out of it. Or that's why even in a relationship, we shut down and close down to protect ourselves. And I would say that's the child in us that learned to do that, to help ourselves, heal, to protect ourselves first and foremost. So you get what they, call gun shy. So the other thing is opening our hearts to ourselves. I know for myself that has gotten missed so many times, but really to me it all begins with, as we open our heart back up to ourselves in a really profound way, that can change so much for us, because we operate then differently out in the world, because we are more open-hearted with ourselves. And that may sound funny, but we've actually learned to shut down our heart to ourselves. We judge ourselves. We make ourselves wrong for so many different things. So learning to open your heart to yourself is huge. So let's just tap. Karate chop. Even though I think I kind of maybe, sort of, want to open to new relationships. A new relationship. I choose to acknowledge my feelings now. Even though I kind of want to open to a new relationship, and at the same time I don't. I choose to honor this conflict now. And just go to the eyebrow. I want to open to a new relationship. Nah. No, I don't. I'm good. I've been burned in the past. And it took a lot to get out of that. And my heart got broken. So opening up to that kind of vulnerability again feels pretty scary to me. And I just want to honor that. And what if the place to start is with myself? To actually open my heart more fully to myself. Maybe there's places in my life around relationships I haven't forgiven myself at all. Maybe I've made myself wrong so many times for how I showed up in past relationships. so I can feel stuck. Maybe I don't trust myself to not lose myself, to not protect myself, to not have good boundaries. And whatever comes up for me, what if that's the best place to start? To start with opening my heart to myself. If I need to forgive myself for how I behaved, for what I think I did wrong in past relationships, what if that's a soothing elixir for my heart and for my spirit? Back then, given where I was at and what I was doing, I was doing the best I could. It's just I'm looking back now with the benefit of hindsight. So it's easy to judge. It's easy to say, I shouldn't have put up with that. I should have handled that so differently. But that's such an opportunity for my inner child to be healed. And as I open my heart up to this wounded part of me, what if I start to heal and I show up differently in any relationships I move into? And take a breath. So to me, that's the key is, often I think what we do when you think of past relationships, you can be in a relationship now and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I should have behaved differently. I can't believe I let him get away with that. I can't believe whatever it is. But to me, that key is to go into open our hearts to ourselves, to forgive ourselves, to truly work to get to the place where you're like, I did the best I could. I really did. We can't change what we judge. So when we're constantly judging ourselves as weak or pathetic, I can't believe they did that. What we're doing, in my view, is we're judging that wounded child in us. And that's happened to that child throughout our lifetime. So as we start to open our heart to ourselves, to that part of us that's wounded, and go back in and go, I didn't know how to do it any differently, given where I was at. And you might get in a new relationship and stuff's going to come up. I heard this years ago from a Unity minister named Howard Caesar, and he said, relationships are for healing. And hey, Marcia, relationships are for healing. They're there to show us our wounds, to bring them up. And what can happen then is if we see it that way and go, okay, there it is. We have the choice to go, okay, I see the wounds and I want to heal these. We have the choice to stay or to go or to do whatever we need to do. But it really does come back to ourselves, and not in this punitive, blaming, punishing way. But to me, it comes back to sending love and acceptance to ourselves. That's the key to me. That's like the keys to the city, is to go in and go, how am I not loving myself? You know, how have I abandoned myself? How have I done, and not in a judgmental way, like, oh God, I abandoned myself. It's like, how I learned to do this. Of course, I learned to treat myself the way I was treated, and slowly incrementally start to like judge ourselves less and accept ourselves more. And then the more we do that, we can't help but like love ourselves more, feel better about ourselves, and that has the power to transform everything. But it can take time, and you might have to bump your head, like I always say, bump up against the wall a number of times, because we've had so many thought patterns that have been in place for so long. So anyway, Marsha, always great to see you here. Thanks for all the hearts so much back to you. That's who I can see that's here. Anyone else that's here, hello to you. And I'll look, and I think I'm going to do one more, and I'll probably come back on here pretty quick and do it. So see you again soon.